Man, talk about bringing a gun to a knife fight. Hey, what's up guys? Logic Over Emotion here with another video. Now in this one we're going to be talking about the House Judiciary Committee hearing that was held with Attorney General William Barr. And this was, man, this was this was not good if you were a Democrat. And it went very, very well for Attorney General Barr. And so I'm just going to talk about a few of the highlights because it was really, really long and there was a lot to it. So the one thing that I want to start by saying here is the Democrats were extremely childish. I was very amazed at how much they cut Barr off. They were just childish and really pathetic. And I mean, he was so quick-witted, and just clearly you could see that they weren't ready for a lot of the answers he gave. And it was just really amazing. And they spent so much time trying to basically say that he was a pawn for Trump, and that he didn't really separate his political ideologies and his position. And I love hearing this guy talk because at one point he said, name me one example, give me one case where what you're claiming here is actually true. And of course they can never do that, right? And when you can say name a case and they can't do it, that you must have some integrity behind you. It's really quite clear. And so the Democrats were all over the place with their questioning. They couldn't be specific. And I think a big part of that was they designed their questions to attack. And that's all it was. It was to attack him. And so they found all these ways to do that. What they didn't realize is how good he was going to be with the details. I mean, dates, names, the guy was on point. I mean, his IQ in this hearing was amazing, like well beyond 100. I mean, he was great. And then of course there has to be the systemic racism, right? So of course there's the systemic racism. And he made the statement of I think there being like 11 white people killed by the cops and 8 here recently. And of course then the black lawmakers say, oh well, considering the blacks make up only 15% of the population, that there's clearly a disparity there. But it's funny, we want to talk about the population disparity and we never talk about the crime disparity, which will allow those two to kind of come together as needed. But we're not going to talk about that. But anyway, one thing that was really interesting after all of this was said and done, after he did a very, very good job, one time they mentioned leaders of the church kind of denouncing what was going on there. He goes, is that before or after they put the fire out? Talking about the church. And he made some really good points. He talked about hey, if the courthouse right here down the street were to be vandalized, windows broken, industrial grade fireworks shot through the windows, kerosene thrown through the windows, would that be okay? And part of the Democratic attempt here was to accuse him of something, ask him stuff, and then just reclaim their time and not even let him answer. And so the Republicans went out of their way to make sure that he had time to actually answer certain questions and defend himself, because that was the problem I had with nearly all of this, was that you're going to accuse him of something, ask him something, and you're not going to let him answer, and that makes no sense to me. But even more crazy than the actual hearing itself and seeing how all the children on the Democratic side acted, my goodness, after the fact. Well, you know what, before I get to after the fact, let's talk about the fact for a few seconds that they didn't even want to give him a bathroom break. Like, how childish do you have to be when he says, can I have 5 minutes to run to the restroom, and you say no? I mean, I don't even know what to say about that, other than it was extremely childish. And it's funny because they talk about Barr not being able to separate his political ideologies from, his position as Attorney General and all of this. But it seems like they were doing the same thing. Clearly, the way they leaned politically interfered with how they asked the questions, how they just treated him from a moral standpoint. I mean, it's one thing to ask people challenging questions. It's another just to be a complete, jerk to that person for no other reason. And the fact that you had all these people saying, you need to respect these rules that we have in place. I mean, you guys are talking to the Attorney General of the United States. I don't think he owes you guys any respect when you were blatantly disrespecting him. And now to get to the last point, where I saw Pelosi and a couple other Democratic lawmakers kind of saying that he should be held in contempt. He was just so disrespectful, this and that, and he was talking over everybody. Now let me ask you guys something. Give me an instance where he talked over someone that wasn't reclaiming their time. It's amazing to me that the Democrats can watch the exact same video that I watched and think that people are going to buy into what they're saying. Oh, he was this and that. And then, of course, they're going to make the case for systemic racism, for him acting certain ways toward women. And I'm like, everything is an identity to you guys. And you're going to sit here and rip him apart for talking over you guys when you literally didn't let him answer a question. You didn't let him answer a question. He's the one being disrespectful. I mean, I think this just goes to show where the Democratic Party has gone. And the fact that nearly everybody was so ugly, was so childish, was so disrespectful. This guy to me is a hero for the way he handled the situation, for the fact that he was willing to speak the truth. And these jokes on the left, I just don't even know what to say anymore. I don't understand how anyone can be a mature adult and say that's okay. Like, I mean, it's one thing, again, to do your job and to ask the hard questions and to do this and to do that. But when you just become condescending to the point where it becomes disrespectful, and then you in turn call that person disrespectful because his answers, mind you, are interrupting your interruption. So you ask him a question, he attempts to answer, and then you interrupt him and call him rude because his answer is interrupting your interruption. Man. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it for this one. Make sure you guys actually check it out. There's a lot of clips. I think, the longest one you'll see is probably around 5 hours, which was the totality of it. Feel free. There's plenty of summarized clips out there of just how childish they were. I mean, but this is the state of politics today. This is where the Democrats have gone today. And like I said, I get that we have different beliefs. We have different ideas. The one thing, though, I don't understand that why the way we treat each other has to change, or why is there such a huge gap between the way Republicans or conservatives treat people and the Democrats. And I've noticed this not just here, but it's all throughout on social media platforms and whatnot. And I think the premise for that, to be honest, is just the fact that it's natural to go to insulting people when you can't make a valid point. And I think that's what happened here, because he attacked them back and he was like, hey, provide evidence for what you're saying. And of course, because they couldn't, they just attack. And they were very, very empty attacks too. Very empty attacks. You had people still to hollering the whole peaceful protest thing. And I remember one question specifically about, why didn't he stop the use of certain, I guess, contaminants or stuff like mace and everything? And he said, and they tried to use the word protesters, and he said no rioters. I was referring to rioters, and he said, I think that's a good non-lethal means to keep people in check. And so what was wrong with that? I mean, think about it. So if you rule out mace, what are you going to do? You're just going to beat them? You're going to shoot them? If you need non-lethal means to do away with people that just don't understand that they're not allowed to just burn courthouses. And that's the bigger question, that no one seems to want to answer is that if these people were intent on burning these courthouses and other federal property down to the ground, if they're intent on doing that, then what option is really left at that point, right? But that's going to be it. I could talk about this for a while. I definitely don't want to make this a long video. I just wanted to touch on it because Attorney General William Barr, I mean, the guy was phenomenal, and we need more people like him with his integrity. And no matter the type of attacks they tried to inflict on him, I mean, he just came through it, just throwing haymakers. And you know, I can respect that. And that's also why I respect Trump. But anyway, guys, as I said before, this is going to be it for this video. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe, share the video. And yeah, let me know your opinions down in the comments section. I mean, man, I think at this point the Democratic Party is a lost cause, but it is what it is. You guys take care.